Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UK League Championship. We are going to be kicking off game number 2, which will be MnM versus Fnatic. Obviously, this game very important for Fnatic after Envision just got that win. If Fnatic lose this game, they have to go for a tiebreaker and then potentially get knocked lower down in the standings. So something they were looking to avoid to do coming into this game. We'll have to see how that's going to go for them. MnM, unfortunately, have been knocked out yesterday by Envision, but if they can end today on a win, round out the regular season with a win over a team like Fnatic Rising, be a great confidence boost for them going into summer.
Yeah, obviously unable to beat out Excel, but they've managed to take a match off Barrage earlier this split, which was quite an upset. So all things considered, MnM, obviously they would have loved to make to the playoffs, love to see how far they can go, but had a pretty strong showing. Obviously our 5th best team at the moment, and if they beat Fnatic here, big statement. Definitely when looking towards summer split, and I know that the players are looking to do that as best as possible.
Yeah, we'll be loading through into the picks and bans nice and soon. So let's have a little look at what's going to get taken away here in this game. So for Fnatic, we've seen the likes of Dan kind of leaning heavily on these tank junglers, the Zac, the Sejuani, things like that are potential bans here for MnM if they want to look towards that. Obviously, Fnatic on that red side, you do typically see the Ornn and stuff get banned away as well. But for now, it's just the Taric targeting out on Bravado there. Don't want to give him that pickup.
Yeah, and you have more freedom to do this on blue side, to target away specific power picks as the big, powerful sort of champions you don't want to be taken by blue side are, as you said, like the Sen and the Ornn, and you essentially just have to instantly ban those away. So we see Taric and the Kalista taken away. Xmadi had a monstrous game on this Kalista yesterday, just clearing up so many fights. So no real surprises to see that one taken out of his hands.
All right, well, the Kalista banned away as well with the Yuumi here. So actually the Yuumi's a bit of an odd ban because obviously Chu does play this Ezreal and Yuumi can be played with other things, but typically we've seen it picked up with the Ezreal.
But it's MnM specifically. MnM have just picked Yuumi for I feel like the past 4 games in a row.
You're right. It got banned yesterday as well for the exact same reason. You're correct.
No, they picked it yesterday. They played a Philios Yuumi.
No, they did. You're right.
And they played MF Yuumi, and Soft often goes on the Rex side so they can work together in tandem later on. But MnM have put a super heavy priority on this champion. Whereas other teams, most teams, they will usually take the Ezreal and then sometimes take the Yuumi. Whereas MnM just always take the Yuumi. So it makes sense to be banned away. Philios taken off the cards, and then the LeBlanc. Ornn's still up and available if MnM want to take that, but it would pass over the Syndra to the side of Fnatic, and also things like the Set, which you've seen Pride very keen on playing, and Dan's typical champion pool of things like the Zac and the Sejuani.
All right, well, let's see what the handoff is here. Momus actually goes for the Set, so it could actually be a Syndra Ornn rotation for Fnatic right now if they want to go for that. At the moment, they're thinking about giving it to Pride. Pride performed very well on the Ornn yesterday as well, so he's going to get his hands on to that.
I think the Ornn makes sense. I'm not too convinced about Syndra right now, just because it removes part of the flexibility of the Ornn, although you can still put Syndra bot lane, so there's that element to it, but we'll see what Fnatic want to prioritize. This is another great flex. Can go between mid and bot lane, but just the sheer power in this champion, really difficult to deal with in the later stages of the game. We'll see if they lock it in, and they are going to. MagiFelix did have a pretty monstrous game on this earlier in the split. It was up against Envision, and as much as they lost, he was critically landing a lot of bouncing bombs, getting a ton of damage down. And combined with an Ornn, if you hit the Ornn horn onto the enemy squishy, and then you ult on top with the Mega Inferno Bomb, they're just out the fight, just completely. That's it. You know, they don't have a HP bar to sort of take all that damage, and it's super long range, super hard to deal with. So they're going to go for the Misfortune, and this is one of those immobile picks that you can potentially punish using that combo, but it is something that Chu likes to play, and obviously in tandem with the Set, gives a lot of team fighting power. Now, I'm wondering if we're going to see a jungler picked up here for Soft, or it could end up going towards a support role for a Fires. But without knowing the full lane matchup, I feel like more likely just to take a jungler in this situation. And going to go for that Trundle, so able to shred away some of the resistances off that Ornn.
Now, what's the last pickup here for Fnatic? With the MF taken away, the AD carry pool we have seen in recent weeks has been a little bit more wide. That Ezreal still a fine pickup here as well. Obviously, the Kalista yesterday we saw X-Manning play. It has been banned away in this game, but there's still a lot of AD carries open. But you do expect this to be the AD carry picked up for Fnatic, because otherwise it's going to get pitched even more.
Not necessarily, because the Ziggs is a flex. And I think that's a critical thing. Because they can put Ziggs in the bot lane, there isn't too much threat about the pool being pinched. So they're going to go for the Jin Zhao instead. Obviously, although Ornn can go jungle, it's pretty unlikely. And so Dan's going to secure that. Something he did play a lot last year in his spring split in the UK. Obviously, it was a lot more in the meta there, but looking to potentially challenge in the early levels with a lot of ganking power on this champion. Now, it is a flex trundle, is something to note, so that can go in the support role, but we do normally expect to see it in the jungle, and that is kind of being reflected by Fnatic because they ban away that Braum pretty quickly. Counterpoint is going to be the Thresh from MnM, and that's the big thing, is that it'd be nice to be able to ban away 80 carries in this situation, but the Ziggs can just be flex bot lane. You can end up throwing away bans. Although I think an Ezreal would be a decent one. Xmadi's shown a lot of strength in that. It'd give them great poke potential. And it really makes it extremely hard for Chu ever to use his bullet time because there's so much threat of, the Ornn ultimate, the Ziggs ultimate, and the Ezreal ult just flying through you. Nautilus's going to be banned away as well.
Alrighty, now, what's the last ban here? Supports have been heavily banned out so far. And that's going to be the Rakan as well. So 4 support bans here being kind of really pinched out. And you feel like Bravado pretty willing to take his now. And they can give that kind of counter pick to whoever really has been left open to Fnatic. Obviously with the Ziggs as a potential bot laner or mid laner. Same for Ornn. Have to start rounding out this comp for Fnatic Rising. They're still running the clock down a little bit more. And it looks like for now, they're going to lock in an AD carry. Kai'Sa received a few buffs on 10-5. So...
I want to know, actually, in conjunction with the Ziggs as well, that is a ton of poke. Kai'Sa is now extremely powerful as a poke champion because they increased the AP scaling on a W. Once you evolve that ability, you get 70% cooldown refunded when you land on a champion. So they can just spam out damage before a fight starts and chunk the enemy team out. Now, over the side of MnM, going to be interesting to see what they prioritize. Actually, looking towards the Diana in the mid lane, so trying to threaten that Ziggs in the 1v1 if you get on top of him. Now, Ziggs can play around this with the satchel. Pretty strong tool for doing that. And we'll see what MnM's last pickup is. Could well go for something like the Leona, but there's a lot of sort of an open book in terms of what you want to potentially prioritize. I do expect the Trundle to be put in the jungle, so there is a possibility they take a jungle here, but I doubt it.
Last second, clicking down here to MnM, and they're going to lock in the Zac. So kind of calling out Dan a little bit. Obviously, Dan is on the Jin Zhao, so something a bit different for him.
This is technically a double flex, though. We don't actually know what's going on in the bot lane.
Oh, yeah, it could actually be MF Zac, couldn't it?
Yeah, so Zac can go support, can go jungle. It really, I mean, in all honesty, Zac could be top lane and Set could be support. This has actually made things a little bit difficult for Fnatic to see what they're going up against with the amount of flexibility afforded to them. And Fnatic just going to go for the Leona. Good synergy with the Kai'Sa because obviously you can stack up that passive quite quickly. And also just with all the supports banned away, Leona pretty high priority in this situation. Now, I think it's going to end up being a Fias on that Trundle, and they're going to put the Zac in the jungle. I think this makes sense because the stat stealing from the Ornn is effective wherever the Trundle goes, and that's really what you're playing it for. And Zac also going to struggle a little bit into the Kai'Sa because she has a lot of mobility to sort of mitigate you jumping about. Does mean you don't have a ton of lane pressure, but Misfortune picks that up on in and on of picks it up herself, so not too much of an issue. But overall, a lot of dive potential from MnM, I think, is critical. They are looking to challenge this backline, whereas Fnatic, they are looking to poke and then rely on their backline DPS. So an ideal team fight for MnM with them be getting onto these squishy champions and making their life difficult. They can also potentially set up a 1-3-1. Now, the limitation of this is Ziggs can always just throw a bomb and clear up the wave, but he does have exhaust, not TP, so a little bit slower to move to the fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a interesting one in this game. There's a lot of zone control available, and like you said, a lot of poke available to Fnatic Rising. Or MnM obviously have very solid just kind of jump on you and blow you up with a Chu just kind of peppering people out on the outskirts. But obviously, if a Chu stands still to go for the bullet time, imagine Felix can just ult on top of him and just completely chunk him.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for sort of a good bullet time opportunity with the amount of like the Ornn Horn and, as you said, the Mega Inferno Bomb. A lot of tools to sort of mitigate that. But the critical thing is, can Diana, can Set get onto this backline? Can they challenge the Ziggs and the Kai'Sa? And it also makes it very hard to start up objectives. So if MnM do get ahead in the early game, and they start to contest objectives like the Dragon, like the Baron, being corralled in and getting poked out by the side of Fnatic is going to be extremely difficult because Kai'Sa will just spam those Void Seekers. The cooldown gets refunded if she hits, and Ziggs is, one of the kings of poke. So things can be pretty difficult for MnM, in all honesty, even if they manage to get an early lead, but they are going up against Dan on Jin Zhao. So early pressure expected, early ganks expected as well. And they could definitely look towards the bot lane to punish this Trundle. Achu does have the cleanse, but Trundle will be pretty vulnerable.
All right, talk to me a little bit about this Jin Zhao as well, because it's something we haven't seen here all season long, something we haven't seen for a little while. What is Dan's game plan with this? How does he fit into this comp?
Early pressure is a big factor, sort of finding opportunities to punish some of the laners. If Chimera oversteps, if Achu and Aphias are vulnerable to ganks, and essentially into the Zac, he's pretty hard to deal with because Soft doesn't win the 1v1 by any means at all. And he has to quickly jump away when he sees the Jin Zhao, because if he gets knocked up, it can interrupt his jump, can often go down as a result of that. And the critical thing is that Jin Zhao is actually a pretty solid team fighter later on. It's not like the Elise, who is just a cocoon bot. Jin Zhao can provide, obviously his CC knockup isn't the most major thing, but his ult can be a critical factor. Can obviously use that for disruption, knock divers away from MagiFelix potentially, and also it allows him to isolate targets and potentially look to punish them. So this Jin Zhao, I think, is a decent pick in this situation. Obviously isn't as staple as some of the other meta junglers we see in terms of ganking power or team fighting ability. Like the Jarvan has great team fighting, at least great ganking power, but Jin Zhao does a pretty solid job at both, if not a specialist in either compared to the other two, but we'll see how it plays out. This is something that Dan typically just has a big tendency to lean on, and this is very much a comfort, which is what we've seen from Dan throughout so far. This split is him playing picks he wants to play, his comfort.
Yeah, it was a criticism about him we've raised a few times, is he sometimes is a little bit too reliant on comfort. They're looking for a little bit of something on to Aphias, but with Soft coming by, with the exhaust used, Xmadi has to flash away, looking to try and turn that back around. Fnatic go for a bit of a cheesy play there. They actually do kind of get bit for it.
Yeah, critical thing was the ward was there, and Soft instantly moved over, so it would have been a 3v2. Xmadi and Bravado punished. They weren't aware that there was a ward covering them, so a bit of a mistake. And they do end up losing the flash of Xmadi for it, so a big hit already.
And Bravado also taking some poke here from Aphias, getting chunked out. See, the pings are coming down. It looks like Fnatic are looking to try and turn this round around. The pillar's already been used. The Chu's being flashed onto, gets knocked up by the Talon strikes.
Yeah, big investment from Dan to already use the flash there. Obviously, they do trade summoners, but you can tell he was quickly cautious about Soft countering, so instantly gets out. But I'd like to see them potentially look to regank Achu at a later point and capitalize on the lack of flash. He still does have the cleanse, but obviously the flash is the big one for sort of getting out of sticky situations.
Well, top lane Pride is actually getting bullied around quite heavily. Is slipping down in the CS area. You can see in the mid lane as well. Actually, might have to hold that because Dan's looking for a gank again. But the free Talon strike is going to land the knockout, the flash into the Zenith Blade. Perfect target selection. Achu is ignited and Aphias tries to turn it around. Fnatic unable to make this happen, but in comes Soft. He's trying to see if he can turn this back around. And in the mid lane, MagiFelix getting jumped onto by Chimera. There is just action all over the map right now.
Yeah, and actually, so big takeaways there is they don't manage to get the kills in the bot lane. TP coming in from Chimera could have been critical in that situation, but it does get cancelled by MagiFelix. Now, this is a skirmish Fnatic might lose here.
Yeah, teleports are being used. Xmadi's trying to buy some space here. Dan jumps in on to Aphias on the back there, but they got the stuns, they got the snipe, and the first blood does get picked up by Soft, but there is a turnaround for them here as Dan is running away. He's flashless, and he's so weak. The flash into the face breaker. Mumus finds the kill.
Just an overstay in that situation from the side of Fnatic. The setup, the re-engage, really good from MnM. Now, the initial fight, the initial dive, they aren't able to find Aphias. Actually, I feel misplayed in their target allocation because initially they were going for Aphias and they switched onto Achu. They didn't end up getting either as a result. Now, what happened mid lane was MagiFelix used his satchel to interrupt the TP of Chimera. That was critical. It was a good play to deny that, but the end result is without your satchel on the Ziggs, you don't have much to deal with this Diana, and you end up losing your flash and your exhaust in the subsequent engage from Chimera. So a lot expended across the map. Ultimately, MnM do pull slightly ahead. They have 1,000 gold lead now. They have CS leads in the bot lane, and actually, surprisingly, in the top lane, despite Mummus TPing in, despite Pride having alone time, Mummus still ahead, and with that kill, even further so.
Take stock of where we currently are in the items. Imagine Felix is gone for a base. He's bought himself the Dark Seal and the refillable potion.
Yeah, we have double cull in the bot lane.
Everybody's farming up, man.
Yeah, everyone's looking.
Which is crazy because this game's already been so scrappy towards the bot lane, and you can actually see Fias and Achua collapsing in, and they're getting collapsed onto though. Dan, free talent strike once again is going to find the knockout. The Void Seeker comes down, and this should just be an easy kill. Imagine Felix gets a great satchel off. Fias locked in place, and Dan finds a double kill.
Just not sure what they were doing there. In all honesty, they decided to go and try and get some vision in the enemy jungle, but when your jungler isn't there, when your mid lane is on a reset, it's never going to end favorably. You just give over 2 free kills, and I think Fnatic potentially looking to re-gank them as they walk in lane. Just massive miscalculation from Achua and Fias there, and it can be pretty costly because Maddie was down in farm, but if he denies this wave in this situation, it could be in a good spot. And actually, they might be looking to crash this with a dive, but no, I think they don't want to overstay. Dan's low HP, so not going to punish more than they already have.
Pride really slipping down in this top lane though. 46 CS to 30, 16 CS deficit currently. He's going to catch a few minions, but like he is really bleeding out topside.
He's struggling, and Owen did get some nerfs in this patch. Obviously gets his items later, so hitting that big spike, and his brittle proc doesn't do as much damage at every stage of the game. But Mummus also got nerfs to sort of his HP regen. Is one of the critical things at his base armor. Ultimately, yes, the set has a good matchup into the Ornn, but Pride definitely struggling. And it's going to be interesting to see what Mummus goes for his first item. He's got the Vamp Scepter. Obviously, items were changed on 10.5. So Blade of the Wind King was buffed. Ravenous Hydra was buffed. It'd be interesting to see if he goes for either of those. Blade of the Wind King would be great at shredding through tanks, but would make you extremely squishy on the set.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd build. So looks like Chimera's looking for a dive top lane. Has got the Moonfall available to him. Isn't going to use it though. Him and Stuff are just going to back off here for now. Wave's going to get shoved in. X-Man and Bravado smelt something off there, so they're able to just kind of step back until they feel comfortable. So Magic Felix is going to find Chimera as he joins back into the lane.
They don't actually miss much of the way, but X-Maddie's still falling behind in CS, and that will typically happen with the Kai'Sa playing up against the Misfortune. You don't have as much lane pressure. And the thing with Leona is only useful as you can go in, provide that CC. Similar with Trundle. The pillar doesn't really do much unless you can find a really good positioning for one.
Oh, Chimera jumps in, gets the Moonfall, but that's that satchel. That's what you were talking about in Champ Select. Is you can just disengage so effectively there. So we did see a little scrap break out in the top lane. Pride actually able to kind of dodge away from the Face Breaker and any kind of follow-up damage, and bot lane, X-Maddie's going to get some free time on this turret. With Dan being a constant pressure point, waiting in the wings of Chu. Hasn't been seen yet, so Dan is going to just complete his base. It's actually top lane. Facebreaker gets thrown down. Mummus is going to get Call of the Forge God onto him, and actually, Pride's looking for the turnaround! What the hell was that? Pride outplays Mummus so hard!
Manages to survive long enough to get the ult in, the CC, another brittle proc, and the damage from that coupled with the ignite, able to take down Mummus. A big oversight on the top lane of MnM. Despite the pressure he had throughout the laning phase, he steps too far and he goes down.
That was just fantastic play there by Pride in a struggling matchup. Obviously, this is what you're hitting on. This is a bit squishier with this build. Going into the Blade the Ruin King build here for the set.
Yeah, like I don't think this item build is really going to help you until it's completed, compared to the Triforce where you get quite a few strong components. So that 1v1 could have been very different if you were sitting on a Phage or a Sheen. Could have actually found the kill in that scenario.
Now, looks like we're trading off Dragon for Rift Herald here. The Mountain Drake already picked up by Fnatic. 3 members of MnM here on the top side. So this will get picked up here. We'll have to see where the exchange is off. Max Maddie shoving out this bot wave. But in towards that MnM.
Chimera's looking to clear this wave. It's a pretty hard dive onto the Diana, but no stopwatch available, which obviously would make it more difficult. Dan's coming in, so this is where they're going to fully commit to the dive to try and mitigate any farm from going over to Chimera. It looks like he's just going to be able to... No, he's staying. But Soft is coming in.
Bravado doesn't have solar flare. Makes the life a little bit harder. Dan looks just to complete the base, so he's not jumping in, although has been spotted out now. 3 members pincering onto Dan. He's going to get slowed down by the Make It Rain and the Pillar. They're going to throw out the ultimate from xMatty. Jumps into the back line there, but they get a big old shutdown. It's a 1-for-1 so far. xMatty flashes the wall. Chimera looks to chase him even more, as MagiFelix will send Chimera packing momentarily. Now they're just going to reset onto the mid lane. xMatty's trying to turn this one around. They got the exhaust onto Chimera. He is low, and xMatty finds a kill. Showstopper comes down by Mumus, and now he's onto MagiFelix. xMatty's on just the brunt of all of the CC, trying to turn it around to a 2, gets himself the turnaround, and Fnatic find a double kill onto their AD carry. Sop is the only one standing, and Bravado and Pride will run him down. Cell Division will not buy him enough time here, as the bombs are coming in, the damage is going up, and Sop actually is able to try and find something onto Bravado. That's going to be the bomb prop by MagiFelix. And they get that Cell Division out. The TP used. Fnatic still unable to find the kill. So much time was bought by MnM, but still a team fight victory over to Fnatic Rising.
Crushing in that team fighting critically. It was certain members of MnM overstepping and getting caught out. Chimera goes way too far ahead, chasing down this backline. He gets collapsed on by Pride, ends up going down. And the big takeaway is that xMatty getting a ton of kills out of the situation. Now 3-1 and 2 on the Kai'Sa. He's going to scale extremely well. Now they're looking for Dan here.
Yeah, Dan does need to be a little careful. Mumus going to put that damage onto him. Obviously has the Crescent coming down, but he's not going to need it. He's able to flash away to safety, although the Crescent Guard's not actually up quite yet. Chimera wants to close that gap. Not going to go for the dive, though. xMatty now 3-1, building towards his Guinsoo's Rage Blade here. With the Rift Herald going down, this could just be first turret blood over to MnM, and bot lane, Achu's just catching waves, so he is quite happy. They're actually looking for the dive on to them. They get the damage off, and the bomb is not going to be enough. Bravado pinned in place, a double kill for MnM topside. They're even going to get first turret blood as their reward.
And Soft just survives. The Mega Inferno Bomb nearly doing enough, coupled with the lockdown from Bravado, but Fnatic, big oversight. Fnatic, xMatty and Bravado overstaying for way too long under that tower. The dive is set up well, and the execution really good from MnM. They're now 1,000 gold up, and they very much needed that after that rough team fight they had around the bot lane, keeping themselves relevant in this one.
Yeah, Chimera able to do a fair amount there. Soft is very tanky, 3-0 on the Zac. He's built himself his Cinder Hulk, so he's got a lot of additional health to work with here on the Zac, and now starting to stack up those resistances to cut through the members, or to survive Fnatic trying to cut them through. Is xMatty, I'm curious to see which build he goes for, because when you go for the MnM into the Guinsoo's Blade, it's a very flexible build for the Kai'Sa. You can opt into a more crit-orientated build after your first 2 core items, or you can go for like that full AP. I'm going to poke you with my W build, and because you were talking about the changes to Kai'Sa's W orcs in the champ select, you do expect this probably to be the AP build here from xMatty.
I'd actually say I don't expect it to be in this situation. Oh, he didn't engage.
Yep. Not going to find anything there. The pillar's too much to disengage.
Ping's coming up, though. I think they're going to try and look for a collapse here from Soft, but I mean, this is going to turn into a fight. They're looking for Chimera now.
Fnatic are just looking for something, and they're not finding anything right now.
Champion, but again, I'm trying to start my sentence, but something keeps looking like it's going to go on. So the reason I don't think it'll be the AP build is Fnatic is very AP heavy. Pride, all AP damage. MagiFelix, all AP damage. Dan, although he's AD, doesn't exactly do a ton of damage in team fights, especially to these tanks. So for that reason, I think they'll probably go the crit build, just so you're doing more damage to the likes of Soft. Soft's first item will be a Spirit Visage. He already has the Merc Treads. If you go the AP build, where even your auto attacks are more focused on your passive magic damage, I just think he's going to be able to itemize very well. So expecting a crit build simply because of that in this situation. Although you are right, there's a lot of flexibility, and the AP one really good when you're trying to look for poke.
Well, they actually get the pillar onto Bravado, but they're not going to find too much more. Meanwhile, in the mid lane at that river, Dan just gets himself a kill onto Mummus. Fnatic probably going to be able to pick themselves up the Infernal Drake for this, as it has just spawned.
Yeah, bear in mind this is a Blade-Rune King. Oh, seen an engage.
Yeah, they're looking to throw it down onto Xmadi. Stretching Strikes gets cancelled. They get a 2-man knock up. The Call of the Forge got a 2, gets pinned in place. Xmadi dives in with the Killer Instinct onto the backline. Bullet time is channeled through Fnatic though, and a massive turnaround by a Chu. Chimera is able to jump in, and Xmadi gets caught out. Caught inside that Let's Bounce as the bomb does go down, and Soft finds himself a kill. It looks like Fnatic though have been able to turn this one around. Magic Felix gets a shutdown, and Fnatic Rising trade out and upwards into MnM.
Actually ends up being a 3-for-3 overall, considering they're a man down. MnM doing remarkably well in that situation. I still looking for something. Mummus just went back to base. Well, Mummus was walking out of base and then he went back to base, I think, to finish his Merc Tread. So a little bit of a mistake. Well, not really a mistake, but just clearly them opting out for the Dragon. The Dragon does go over to Fnatic. And in the total turn of things, it's a 4-for-3 for them. But in that last fight, despite being a man down, MnM traded evenly in kills. Big factor was Soft's engage, all that lockup from him, and a Chu landing the bullet time. Just really strong execution on those teamfight and ultimates. And this is a critical thing. If they find a teamfight where they're able to get that AoE down, or they're able to threaten the backline of Fnatic, it can go pretty well. But that is the big condition.
Xmadi jumped onto the back line, did a good job, and then as soon as he joined into his team, Soft was able to kind of lock him down. Is down in CS to a Chu as well, so Chu was able to kind of really put that down with the Essence Reaver build, where obviously Xmadi still wants his mana mune to stack into the mirror mana before he really starts to kind of come online. Has upgraded his Q already. Actually, there was a bot lane here. Mummus has to use that showstopper early. Has a big haymaker available. It's stacking up, but it is going to wear off here. And Fnatic actually may just continue this dive here onto Mummus. They're throwing the bombs out. They're throwing the zone control. Facebreaker's not going to find its mark on Magic Felix. Looking for that kill. The flash comes out, and in comes the rest of the team. The bomb by Magi will secure himself that kill. Fnatic Rising find another one onto Mummus.
And it's just a Blade-Rune King set. Just so squishy. We saw him get picked before last fight because he just got instantly killed in the rotation. And he's, considering how good Mummus' laning phase was, he is struggling right now. And I feel like, in all honesty, if you want to deal with tanks effectively, you should have just gone the Black Cleaver anyway. And then second item, go to the Blade-Rune King. I think this build means you're too squishy and just vulnerable. Because you're really just not surviving any damage coming out from Fnatic Rising. Now, top lane tier 2 goes down, but Fnatic are looking for the mid tower. They're being collapsed on, however.
Yeah, that Making Rain's going to slow them down into the bullet time. A massive crescent slash will come out from Dan to disengage Soft, so he doesn't land onto Xmadi.
And critically as well, blocking all the bullet time damage. So that's the strength of the Jinzan in a team fight, but they're going for a re-engage.
Yeah, they're looking to jump in. They do look to go onto that backline, though. Xmadi jumps in, annihilating Achu. As now the Call of the Forge God's being used. Mummus finds a 3-man facebreaker off, but Xmadi puts the distance out, and Pride finds another one. It's a 2-for-0. And then Magic Felix continues to chase onto Soft, just zoning him away. Fnatic Rising had the inside track onto the mid lane, and they're going to zone MnM off their towers.
Going to be taking this tier 2 pretty easily. They might actually go for the inhibitor tower here. There's only Soft and
Felix saves Satchel for that. So they can actually do this. He's going to put a lot of damage out to it early. Now he's got that Satchel. He will be able to pop that tower. So Fnatic, they don't stay for the inhibitor, not over-greeding, but very happy with that teamfight victory. And then 2 towers opening up the base of MnM.
And they just snowballed so far ahead. 3,000 is the lead. They have 2 dragons in their pocket. And you look where the gold is. You see Magi Felix is farm, not actually as much as you typically expect from the Ziggs, but 308 now in a comfortable spot. Matty, 2,000 gold, nearly up on a Chu. These carries are just going to be monstrous. And I really just don't like the build from Mummus, the Blade-Rune King first, because at the end of the day, you killing an Ornn in the side lane isn't the win condition for your team. And even if it is, like, you still need to serve a function in team fights. He is trying to group consistently, and he just does nothing on this item because you just get blown up in a rotation. Really questionable build coming out from Mummus, and it has cost them massively because typically when we see a fight break out, it's Mummus who goes down first, or at least isn't able to soak much damage for the team.
Fnatic looking to collapse here, topside onto Mummus. Having to put some distance between. Dan can actually close the gap, but that tower's still alive and pretty healthy, but Dan still feels comfortable to go for it. Haymaker may be big. Dan's going to take a fair amount of damage. He gets showstoppered backwards, and Mummas finds the turnaround. Blade the Ruin King will do a lot of damage there. Call of the Forge God's been used by Pride. He gets the knockout, the brutal stacks, and all the damage to boot. Finds himself the kill, but a great turnaround from Mummas, going 1 for 1 there in a 1 versus 2 situation.
Just an overstep from Dan, in all honesty, and maybe Pride could have used his ult sooner to set up that one, but they managed to trade 1 for 1. It's good for Mummas considering he's behind. Not super favorable overall. Now, Reptile's going to get thrown down mid because Dan is unavailable. They were going to try pressure bot tower.
Looking to collapse. Bravado does have that solar flare. Magic Felix, no ultimate available. The Elastic Slingshot getting used up, and the turret will survive, crucially, here. So they didn't actually gain the tower with the Rift Herald. Now, Drake spawning up momentarily. Chimera does finally take that mid lane turret after the bomb was used earlier. And Magic Felix still not got his ultimate available. Dan's back on the map. And Fnatic are looking to go to Soul Point.
Yeah, the ult economy pretty bad, though, for Fnatic. They're down Call the Forge God, the Mega Inferno Bomb, and the Cosmic Slash from...
Yeah, but MnM are resetting.
Yeah, they're just not willing to fight this one. They invested a lot. They want to reset, want to buy gold. It's given over soul points. So Fnatic in a pretty good spot right now, still ahead, despite these favorable fights that MnM's occasionally been able to find. And the critically fed member is Soft right now, but the problem with that is that Soft really isn't doing enough damage on his own to dive these backliners and kill them. There's a stopwatch available for Snardy to help him survive. Magic Felix has his flash available. You really need the follow-up from Mummas and Chimera, and right now Mummas is just way too squishy.
Yeah, Xmatty feeling pretty comfortable right now. He's got that stopwatch finished off. We'll see where his itemization goes at this point. He's gone for the Stinger, so that does scream for this. Probably will be the AP build here on to the Kai'Sa.
Interesting to me, because that means, like I said, MnM going to be able to incredibly heavily invest in Magic Resist and be pretty happy with it, in all honesty.
I think in his head, the likes of a Chew aren't going to really be able to itemize Magic Resist yet. Chimera's not doing that either. It's only Soft as the real problem, as Mummas is so far behind. He's now sitting on the Phage towards his Blade the Ruin King or either a Black Cleaver. So he's a ways away from finishing any like real core Magic Resist items. So I think Xmatty's thinking, I don't really need to worry about them itemizing against me because there's only one person that can do that. And he's actually just going to jump instantly onto a Chew. Does have to run away, though, as they force the teleport out here. Pride's getting collapsed onto the pillar. Not going to get used. And now Dan looks to try and turn this around. He does have the Crescent Guard. He's going to throw it out. Chimera going to get caught out. The bomb's going to land onto a Fires in the back line, and Soft is getting chunked down. The bullet time's fairly big, though. Two puts some space in. Dan jumps onto Chimera, though. And now Mummas in the middle of the team has a big haymaker, uses the showstopper, gets himself a return kill onto Dan as a Chew's getting run down here. Pride flashes forward and just wall bangs into the wall.
A little bit of a funny one at the end, but ultimately Fnatic coming out ahead in this fight. There were some big ultimates there from MnM. Soft and a Chew nearly getting this huge combo. They just weren't able to sync up at the right time. Baron now going to be the priority jungler. Dead for both sides, though, actually, so they're not going to go for that one. They maybe could have gone for the spellbook swap to Smite. Ultimately, just going to clear out some of the vision, go for resets, get back on the map. And Fnatic aren't really pressured right now. Their scaling's good. They can look towards the Soul to be their big objective to secure them in the late game as well. There's no pressure for them to force the Baron right now.
Magic Felix can take down this top lane turret as well. Fnatic, 2 minutes until that Cloud Soul will be spawning up. So maybe they're just going to look to try and get some kind of ward coverage around that part of the map, knowing that that is the next kind of big objective for them. Cloud Soul is going to be so big for the likes of Xmatty to be able to kind of play really super safe in the fight. So you can ult into the backline and you're really hard to pin down and actually find a kill onto.
Yeah, especially if you ult in, then use the supercharge, you can be miles away by the time your invisibility times away. So makes them super threatening. Right now, though, Chimera in the side lane looking to threaten that top lane tower. Fnatic heavily grouped in the bot side, though. They are looking to set up for this dragon, potentially find a pick to just keep maintaining that vision control in this vicinity.
It looks like for now, they're just going to remain in control of the area, but not overstep or overstay. There are some aggressive wards placed inside MnM's jungle. Momus is going to do his best to clear those out, though. As you can see him moving around on your mini-map. He's clearing out that part of the map. Getting control back, so his team don't have to walk blind through when this Cloud Soul breaks out. Because MnM, you know, are going to want to contest this. You know they're going to want to fight for it. Soft is maybe looking for a little something onto the likes of either Dan or Bravado, but can't really find his opening, can't really find his mark. Xmadi's going to be joining up the rest of his team just after getting the red buff for himself. And he, at this point, has finished off his Nash's Tooth, so he's got all of his upgrades on his abilities sorted now.
Bravado
Actually
looking.
just jumps into the backline. They get the bomb onto a Chew. Xmadi finds the kill. Xmadi flashes away. The Call of the Forge God's being used to put some space out there. Xmadi does get caught out, and a Haymaker will turn that one around. Magic Felix continues to throw the bombs down, though, and in comes the Moonfall by Chimera. It's not enough. Bravado will live, and a double kill picked up for Magic Felix. Fnatic go 3 for 1.
And Zig's just doing so much damage in these team fights. In the big AoE cluster from the front lines, he's able to consistently land these bombs, and the damage is just absurd. Engage comes in for Soft.
Yeah, Soft has no cell division, remember. He's trying to find someone onto Bravado, but he's unable to do so. Soft goes down as the Cloud Soul spawns. MnM are just going to have to give this up as Magic Felix will take away the inhibitor with the help of Pride after just poking a fire stat a little bit.
And ultimately, this is the Dragon Soul, but it could end up transitioning into complete Baron control, and maybe even the Baron itself. Soft's still not up and available. Well, I think the reset's coming in. They're not going to go towards that. He's going to be up in time, but Soul going down. 5k gold lead to Fnatic Rising. This game is not looking good, and the critical thing there was Achu just dies before the fight even starts. It was a great engage there from Bravado, and the follow-up from Magic Felix and Xmadi just meant there was no chance for this Misfortune to survive. And that's the critical thing we talked about, is the bullet time can be really effective here, but they're just never given the chance. Actually, they are transitioning into that Baron. We said with Soft not up, they could go for this, and my sustained damage is so big.
Yeah, and they actually kind of almost play the game of, we're not doing it because the jungler showed on a ward, not even on the pit. So Fnatic just sneak away the Baron. They blast coned over the wall to avoid any detection, and they're able to steal away the Baron for themselves. And now with the Cloud Soul and the Baron, Fnatic are going to be formidable. What can MnM do to deal with this? As a big wave is going to get walked up here by Fnatic in the mid lane. All 5 members grouped up and looking for their opportunity.
You just need a big engage from Soft. You need to try and lock up Magic Felix and Maddie, but with Magic Felix having flash, and with how slippery a Kai'Sa is, it's no easy task. But now they're just going to look to defend.
Fias is waiting over the walls. Not going to do anything quite yet. As Fnatic will move the wave up. Stretching strikes, elastic slingshot getting channeled, and they are looking to jump into Xmadi, but he's able to buy some space. The Crescent's guard is going to be enough. They get a Call of the Forge God off. Showstopper comes out by Mumus, and Pride will take him down. Fnatic jumping in now. Pride low on HP. Xmadi slides into the backline. Look how quick he is with that Cloud Soul. He's so hard to pin down, and they get themselves a kill onto the jungler as well. Fnatic find 2, crack open another inhibitor turret and another inhibitor here. They're actually just going to cool this off and go straight to the tower, straight to the win. MnM are trying to do something. Pride will fall, but he bought space for his team. The next turret will go down. Dan flashes forward onto a Chew. Chew's going to look to turn it around. Dan's going to try and stay alive with the Sterix as Chimera jumps onto Magic Felix, but he's unable to do it. Fnatic Rising take down MnM and end the regular season on a win.
Critically, that secures them at least 3rd place. They are now tied up with Barrage as well. If Barrage lose their game at the end of the day, they will get a chance to play for 2nd place. So well played from Fnatic Rising, crushing MnM in that situation. Just a confident win. And although MnM had some good skirmishes, some good fights, it quickly started to lose control. And the critical thing was, as we talked about, unable to sort of find the good bullet times, because there was no way you could position against the likes of the Mega Inferno Bomb, the Ornhorn, Maddie consistently diving you in the Leona as well. It just felt like they consistently challenged to Sadie carry this backliner, and the front line was never able to get onto the right targets. We said if they managed to jump onto the Ziggs or the Kai'Sa, it can go in their favor, but it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, it was a really, really solid game by Fnatic, and they're looking to find their form as they approach the finals and the playoffs. Well, the playoffs for now. We'll have to see if they can make it to finals, but with that win, They do secure themselves at least third, which means they do dodge BTXL, and Envision will be now knocked into fourth place. Barrage, pending on their game versus Enclave, could actually make third still here. So the key thing for that is side selection. Fnatic versus Barrage will be our one of our matchups here in the playoffs. And second place will obviously get to choose side for the best of three.
And that's the critical thing, is that side selection can be pretty impactful, especially in the best of three, because obviously you don't have a ton of games. If they have advantage in two of those, it can be enough just to win it out. But ultimately, we'll see how that develops. It's going to come down to the match at the end of the day. Next up, we do have a match. It isn't going to affect playoff potential, but it could mean XL going undefeated for the entire split if they win this next game.
Exactly. It's all to play for BTXL. Can they go 14-0? Can Phelan kill the unkillable team? We'll be back after the break for Game 3. Phelan Gaming versus BTXL. We'll see you in a second.